Hi, this is Brenda from ADD Moms, and I have a story that I'd like to share with you. I'm not really sure why I want to share it with you. It's just kind of been on my mind in the last couple of days, and I felt a real strong need to share it with all of you. In fact, I felt so strongly about it, I decided to make a video, which is completely out of my comfort zone. So here goes. I call the story the Christmas story, and that's really not quite accurate because it's not really about Christmas, and it certainly isn't about that movie with the BB gun and the funny looking lamp with the legs. But it's a true story, and it happened to me almost 20 years ago. At the time, the economy was in bad shape, kind of like it is now. Maybe not as bad as it is now, but it was bad. And my family was having a hard time making ends meet. Now, this wasn't at Christmas time. This was probably May or June. And we decided that I needed to get a job. I had been a stay-at-home mom ever since my kids had been born, but we needed the extra money, and so I went out and I got a job. I got quite a job, actually. I had the corporate suit and the pumps and the interviews on TV even, but I wasn't really happy. I was doing what I thought was best for my family, but I wasn't happy doing it. I really wanted to be home with them. Now, you know I've got ADD, and working 40 hours a week, trying to keep track of 3 kids and their activities, keeping the house clean, making the meals, doing all that you have to do as a mom, it really took a toll on me. My ADD got worse, way worse. I was getting into trouble at work for forgetting things or doing things I shouldn't have done or doing things, that should have been prioritized differently, not doing the most important thing first. And my family was suffering a lot. During the summer, I had a teenage daughter, the daughter of a friend, babysit for our kids, and I paid her an outrageous amount of money because during the summer, life was kind of normal. She did our laundry, she made dinner every night, and she kept us sane. When school started, things were different. You know how busy it gets when school starts. Things get crazy. There's all kinds of papers and activities and things going on, and I lost control very, very quickly. It was not unusual for us to have to rush out the door. We were almost always late wherever we went. Laundry was never done. We had dirty clothes piled up everywhere, and it was actually a miracle if someone had something clean and unwrinkled to wear to school or to work. There were, I'm sure, many times when all of us kind of pulled something out of the hamper and decided it was good enough to last one more day. Things were crazy. I was completely out of control. I was making the money to help pay the bills, but at the same time, I was forgetting to pay them because I was so rushed and stressed and out of control. It was a horrible, horrible life. I would rush home every day and try and get to the after-school care before 6 o'clock so I could get Sarah and Andy without getting charged more, and then rush over to preschool to pick up Caitlin. I actually forgot her once. Can you imagine? I forgot her at preschool once. And luckily, Sarah and Andy were there to remind me so I could go pick her up. It was awful. By October, November, I had a tongue that was so sore I could barely speak. And when I checked, it was because I had 2 rows of canker sores, 10 of them, lined up like little soldiers on the underside of my tongue. My dentist said it was stress. Big surprise. Now, then Christmas comes, and you know how stressed Christmas holidays are anyway, with the shopping and all the extra things that you have to do. We had a tradition in our family. Every Christmas Eve, we went to my brother-in-law's house for Christmas Eve dinner, and we opened presents from the family. And then Christmas morning, we all opened our own personal presents at home and those from Santa. And then I hosted Christmas Day dinner. We'd been doing it for years. That year, at midnight on Christmas Eve, my sister-in-law stopped me on the way out the door and said, "What time should we be over for dinner tomorrow? Do you know, or would you rather call me in the morning?" And I smiled and said, "I'll call you in the morning." That was when I realized I hadn't been grocery shopping in longer than I could remember. I went home, I got the kids to bed, and I opened the refrigerator, and it was completely empty. No butter, no eggs, no milk, no bread, certainly not a Christmas ham or turkey or pumpkin pie. Nothing. I went to bed, I was exhausted, everything was closed, and I tried to sleep. I didn't do a very good job of it. Next morning, Christmas morning, I tried to enjoy the kids in opening their presents and having a good time, but in the back of my mind was, what am I going to do? I have 10 people for dinner and no food in the house. As soon as the kids' presents were open, I dashed out the door and went to the only store I could find open on Christmas Day, a CVS drugstore. And I tried to buy Christmas dinner there. It didn't work so well. I might have picked up bread and eggs and milk, I don't remember. What I ended up doing was going home, calling my sister-in-law, and asking her to bring the leftovers from the night before over. And that's what we had for Christmas dinner that year. I'm sure that was probably one of the worst Christmases for most of our family, or maybe it was just for me because I knew what was going on. A few days later, the friend whose daughter had been babysitting for me called me over, sat me down, and we went through our finances and our expenses, and it turned out that high-paying corporate job, after I paid all my expenses for daycare and gas and my suits, was paying me $40 a week. I was working for $1 an hour. We decided then and there that the job wasn't worth it, obviously, although I have to say it took me several more weeks before I finally mustered up the courage to quit. I remember that day vividly, and so does my youngest daughter, Caitlin. I went into work, and they said, you know what, it's your last day. Go on home, enjoy your family. So I did. By the time I got to preschool, it was nap time, and I snuck in. Caitlin's teacher saw me, and she was so thrilled when she found out I'd quit my job because she knew how bad it had been. She gave me a big hug, and then we went and woke Caitlin up. And you know, Caitlin is 22 years old now. She was maybe 2 or 3 at the time. She remembers that day vividly as one of the happiest days of her life. I woke her up, gave her a big hug, told her we were going home. We went home and we made chocolate chip cookies. And when 3 o'clock came, we went over to the elementary school and we picked up Sarah and Andy and brought them home, took them out of after-school care, and we had cookies and milk and we enjoyed ourselves together as a family. That was the day I made a decision that I've lived by ever since. I didn't want my family to experience the kind of chaos and turmoil and stress that I was putting on them because of my ADD, because of taking on too much, because of not knowing how to do things. Ever since then, I have made an effort, and I always do. I'm always looking for better ways to learn to keep my house clean and to keep things organized, to keep track of things, to learn to where to put important papers. You know, once we sold a car and the deal almost fell through because for 2 days I couldn't find the title because I'd put it in some important place that was important to me at the time, but there was no designated place for important things like the title of your car. I didn't want to live that way anymore. It's been a long time since then. And no, things aren't perfect. We almost always have clean stuff to wear, I'll have to say that, but the laundry gets piled up occasionally. The house gets cluttered sometimes. Once in a while I forget to pay a bill, but most of the time we're doing okay. And I'm glad that I was able to do that for my family. I'd like to help you do the same because no kid deserves to grow up in such a crazy, chaotic household, not knowing, you know, if there's going to be clothes to wear, if your mom's going to remember to do whatever it is you needed her to do, if she's going to show up and pick you up on time. No one deserves that, and you don't deserve it either. You don't deserve the stress. You don't deserve the unhappiness it causes. You deserve to live, maybe not a stress-free life, but a less stressful life. And you deserve to be happy and just enjoy your family. I write my blog so that I can help you do that. And in some strange way, I hope this video helps you understand what I'm about. I've had some things at the back of my mind that have been bugging me for the past few weeks, kind of like this story I wanted to tell. And there's my husband calling. I'm going to be sharing with them soon. I hope this was helpful to you. Thanks.